Hey, you ever feel like your brain's just like a browser and it's got like way too many tabs open?
Oh, yeah.
Today we're diving into David Allen's Getting Things Done.
Okay.
But this isn't just about making to-do lists.
Right.
It's more like, upgrading that mental operating system.
I like that.
So we've got all your notes and articles right here,
Okay.
ready to extract the good stuff
Yeah.
that's actually going to like change how you work and live.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like learning, like a mental martial art.
Okay.
Training your mind for that. Mind like water calm, even when you have like a mountain of tasks.
Mind like water.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty zen,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah.
My brain's more like a stormy sea most days.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, he starts by tackling that stuff problem. That like mental clutter
Okay.
of all those like unfinished tasks and vague ideas
Uh-huh.
and all those like negging shoulds.
Yeah.
Imagine like you're prepping for this big presentation,
Right.
but you're also like trying to remember like the grocery shopping
Right.
and an email you need to send and
Yeah.
what to get your mom for her birthday.
Oh, that's my life in a nutshell.
Yeah,
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Alan says all this undifferentiated stuff, it keeps us in this like constant state of low-level anxiety,
Yeah, man.
making it like impossible to really focus.
Okay.
It's like trying to work with like 100 browser tabs open,
Yeah.
each one like demanding attention.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we close some of those mental tabs?
Right.
So Alan talks about, achieving this mind like water state.
Yeah.
I get the metaphor.
Okay.
But how do we actually get there?
Well, think about like a pebble dropping into like a still pond.
Okay.
The water ripples
Right.
and then returns to this like calmness.
Yeah.
It doesn't freak out or anything.
Okay.
It just responds appropriately.
Okay.
That's the mental state we're aiming for.
Okay, I like that visual.
Yeah.
So like those never-ending to-dos are like pebbles?
Yes.
Constantly disrupting our mental pond.
Precisely. So the GTD method, it helps us react like that calm water, right?
Okay.
Handling those pebbles without like getting overwhelmed.
Right.
And it all starts with those 5 stages of workflow mastery.
Okay.
First up, capture.
Capture. Okay, that seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But Alan, he says it needs to be like a total brain dump.
You got it.
Right.
Not just like the big stuff, but like every little thing, right? That's just like swirling around in our heads.
Yeah.
No more. I'll remember it later.
Right.
That just keeps those mental tabs open.
Right.
Dump everything right into a trusted system.
Okay.
Could be a notebook, app, voice memos, whatever works.
Sure.
Alan even suggests like using a separate sheet of paper
Wow.
for each item during your brain dump.
Okay.
And make sure you're not filtering anything out.
So he's serious about this capture thing.
Yes.
I usually just like jot things down kind of randomly. Okay, so once we've captured everything,
Yeah.
what's next?
Stage 2, process.
Okay.
Now you go through your capture list
Okay.
and you ask these 2 key questions.
Okay.
What is this?
Okay.
And what's the very next action?
Okay.
Okay, so let's say, for example,
Okay.
one of your capture items is Mom's birthday.
Okay.
So what is it?
Right.
Well, it's a project that requires multiple steps,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So the next action.
That might be like brainstorm gift ideas.
Exactly.
Or like check my calendar for her birthday.
Exactly. It's about turning like that vague stuff into concrete steps.
Okay.
And this is where that no multitasking rule comes in.
Okay.
To make those clear decisions about like next actions, you need to focus on one item at a time.
No multitasking.
Yes.
But that's how I live my life.
I know. It's tough.
Yeah.
But multitasking actually makes us less efficient.
Okay.
So when you're processing your captured items,
Okay.
give each one your full attention.
Okay.
And here's like a bonus tip.
Okay.
If the next action takes less than 2 minutes,
Okay.
do it now.
Oh, the famous 2-minute rule.
Yes.
I'm definitely guilty of putting off even the nanny tasks.
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah.
But those little things can like create a sense of overwhelm.
Mhm.
So knocking them out quickly
Right.
clears your mind and like builds momentum.
Okay.
So let's say one of your captured items is email John about the report, right?
Okay.
If it takes less than 2 minutes to like fire off that email,
Right.
do it right then and there.
Okay. I can see how that would make a difference.
Yeah.
Small wins, clear mind, good stuff. Okay. So what's stage 3?
Organized. Now you put those next actions into like the right buckets.
Okay.
You got your calendar for like time-specific items,
Right.
project lists for bigger things.
Okay.
And like context-based lists
Okay.
for actions you can do like anywhere,
Right.
like calls or errands.
Sure.
Alan, he even gives like examples like at errands anywhere
Okay.
for things you can pick up no matter where you are.
That at errands anywhere list is genius.
Yes.
I am always forgetting things when I'm out and about.
Yes.
It's so frustrating.
I know. But a well-organized system
Right.
means your mind doesn't have to like work so hard
Right.
remembering everything.
Yeah.
So this brings us to stage 4, review.
Review. I have a feeling this is where a lot of people fall off the wagon.
You're probably right, but that weekly review, it's crucial for keeping your system
Okay.
and your mind clear.
Right.
Alan recommends like scheduling a specific time for it.
Okay.
It's that important.
Right.
Think of it like a mental decluttering session.
Okay.
You're updating your lists,
Okay.
clearing out completed items,
Right.
and like making sure everything is still aligned with your goals.
Okay.
Right.
I must admit, the thought of a weekly review sounds a bit tedious.
I know it can seem like just another task.
Yeah.
But trust me, the benefits outweigh the effort.
Okay.
So imagine you're about to start your week, right?
Okay.
And you know exactly what needs to be done,
Okay.
what projects are in motion,
Yeah.
and what your priorities are.
Right.
That feeling of control is worth its weight in gold.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light.
Okay.
But what about, like, the actual doing?
Right.
That's the hardest part for me.
That's where it all comes together, the sixth
Okay.
and final stage.
Sure.
Phooey.
Okay.
But here's the brilliant part. By having a clear system,
Uh-huh.
you free up mental energy for actually doing the work
Okay.
instead of just like thinking about it.
Right.
You're not like constantly second guessing yourself
Right.
or wondering if you've forgotten something because you trust your system.
So it's like having a mental assistant
Okay.
who's got all the details handled,
Yes.
right? Freeing you up to focus on the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that brings us to like one of the most common productivity killers, procrastination.
Oh, procrastination.
Yes.
My arch nemesis.
Yes.
Why do we do it, especially when we know we should just, like, get things done?
Well, Alan, he argues that, our minds often can't distinguish between vividly imagining something
Right.
and it actually happening.
Okay.
So we get like overwhelmed by the potential problems of a task,
Right.
blowing things out of proportion and,
Right.
and like creating resistance. So let's say, for example, you need to finally tackle your taxes.
Oh, don't even get me started on taxes.
Yeah.
Just the thought of it makes me want to hide under the covers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your mind starts imagining it like audits,
Oh,
late
yeah.
fees,
Right.
maybe even jail time.
Right. Right.
But in reality, it's probably just a few hours of filling out forms.
Yeah, that's scarily accurate.
Yeah.
My imagination definitely runs wild sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why GTD is so powerful.
Okay.
It helps us tame those wild imaginations, right?
Okay.
By breaking tasks down
Right.
into manageable, actionable steps.
Right.
But it goes beyond just like individual tasks, right?
Right.
Alan provides frameworks for thinking at multiple levels.
Yeah. And one of the most intriguing is natural planning.
Okay.
It's this like 5-phase model for planning any project, big or small.
Right.
And I love how it starts by challenging the purpose of the project.
Yeah.
It's not just do more.
Uh-huh.
It's like, why are we doing this in the first place?
Yes.
That's a question I don't ask myself often enough.
It's such a crucial question.
Yeah.
It ensures that our actions are aligned with our values
Right.
and goals.
Right.
And within this model, like the brainstorming stage is key.
Okay.
It's about getting all the ideas out on the table.
Right.
Even the seemingly crazy ones,
Right.
without judgment.
No idea is too wild
Yeah.
at this stage, right?
Right.
It's about like expanding the possibilities,
Yes.
not limiting them.
Exactly.
And then, of course, we organize those ideas
Right.
and define those next actions.
Right.
But Alan doesn't stop there. He gives us this framework
Yes.
for reviewing our work at different altitudes.
Yes.
You're talking about the 6-level model for reviewing your work,
Yes.
which goes beyond day-to-day tasks.
Right.
It helps you define your work at 6 different levels,
Uh-huh.
from current actions all the way up to
Yes.
your long-term goals
Yes.
and even your life purpose.
That's right.
I got to be honest, for the longest time, I felt completely overwhelmed by work.
Uh-huh.
I was constantly putting out fires, but never making real progress.
Yeah.
And then I discovered this model,
Right.
and everything changed.
Oh, wow.
It was like I finally had a roadmap,
Okay.
and suddenly I could see how everything connected.
Wow.
It was a game changer.
That's the power of a good framework.
Yeah.
It helps us organize our thoughts,
Right.
prioritize our efforts,
Right.
and ultimately live and work more intentionally.
Well said. And speaking of intentionality,
Yeah.
Alan has a lot to say about
Yes.
making conscious choices about what we do
Yes.
And perhaps even more importantly,
Uh-huh.
what we choose not to do.
He certainly does. And that brings us to his concept of horizontal and vertical control,
Okay.
which I think offers some like profound insights
Yeah.
to how we manage our commitments and energy.
Let's dope into that
Okay.
because I think a lot of people struggle with feeling overwhelmed
Right.
precisely because they haven't mastered
Yes.
those two dimensions of control.
You're right. Understanding this distinction
Right.
can make like a world of difference in how you approach your work and life.
Okay.
So shall we unpack these concepts?
Absolutely. What exactly does Alan mean by horizontal control?
Well, horizontal control is about managing like the breadth of your commitments,
Okay.
your open loops. It's about knowing what you're committed to
Right.
across all areas of your life.
Okay.
Think of it like expanding your field of vision to encompass like everything
Right.
that has your attention.
Yeah.
From work projects to personal responsibilities to someday maybe ideas.
So it's about like having a panoramic view of all your commitments.
Yes.
Like having a mental map that shows you everything you've agreed to do.
Exactly. And this is where, the GTD methodology
Yeah.
of capturing, processing, organizing,
Yeah.
and reviewing your stuff comes in.
Right.
So by having a system that tracks all your open loops,
Right.
you gain a sense of control over
Wow.
the sheer volume of commitments you've made.
It's like getting all those mental tabs
Yes.
organized into neatly labeled folders.
Yes.
Where everything is so you don't have to constantly worry about forgetting something.
Precisely. But horizontal control is only one part of the equation, right?
Right.
Alan also emphasizes the importance of vertical control.
Okay, so if horizontal control is about breadth,
Yes.
what's vertical control about?
Vertical control is about depth.
Okay.
It's about going deep into a specific area of focus
Okay.
and having like the clarity
Uh-huh.
and resources to make things happen.
So it's like choosing one of those neatly labeled folders
Yeah.
and really diving into the details.
Yes.
Like zooming in on a particular project or a task
Right.
and having the information
Yes.
and tools
Yes.
and focus to move it forward.
Exactly. So vertical control is about like drilling down to that next action level, knowing what needs to be done next,
Okay.
and having the resources to do it.
Okay. This makes so much sense.
Good.
It's like having the ability to switch between the big picture view
Right.
and the detailed close-up,
Yes.
depending on what's needed at the moment.
You got it. And Alan argues that both horizontal and vertical control
Okay.
are essential
Okay.
for achieving that mind like water productivity.
Right.
Without horizontal control, you're constantly distracted by like the sheer volume of your commitments.
Mhm.
You're spread too thin,
Right.
reacting to like whatever pops up without a sense of clarity or direction.
It's like being lost in a forest,
Yeah.
surrounded by trees,
Uh-huh.
but unable to see the path.
A perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And without vertical control, you lack like the focus
Right.
and follow through
Right.
to make real progress on anything.
Okay.
So you may have like a clear overview of your commitments, but you're stuck in the planning and processing stage,
Okay.
unable to actually get things done.
It's like having a beautifully drawn map, but never actually setting out on the journey.
Precisely. And that's why, Alan's GTD methodology is so powerful. It provides a system for achieving both horizontal and vertical control,
Right.
enabling you to manage, the breadth of your commitments
Right.
while also having the depth of focus, right?
To make things happen.
It's like having both the map and the compass
Yeah.
guiding you through the forest
Yeah.
and towards your destination.
Well said. And by mastering both horizontal and vertical control? Okay.
you can achieve that mind-like water state
Right.
where you're responsive but not reactive,
Okay.
calm but effective, and ultimately in control of your work and life.
Now that's a state we could all aspire to.
Yes.
But achieving this level of mastery, it requires a shift in mindset, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And that's where, Alan's emphasis
Okay.
on understanding the nature of work
Uh-huh.
and our relationship to it
Right.
becomes crucial. He argues that, a lot of our stress and frustration stems from outdated assumptions
Okay.
about how work gets done, especially in our modern, fast-paced world.
So he's talking about the knowledge work paradigm, right?
Right.
Where so much of what we do isn't about like physical tasks,
Yeah.
but about managing information, making decisions,
Right.
and collaborating with others.
You're right. And traditional like time management techniques, they
Okay.
often fall short in this new landscape
Okay.
because they focus on prioritizing tasks based on like urgency or importance.
Okay.
But don't address the underlying mental processes
Right.
that lead to overwhelm and procrastination.
Okay, it's like trying to organize a cluttered desk
Yeah.
by simply like moving piles around
Uh-huh.
without actually dealing with the contents.
Right.
You're not really solving the problem, you're just creating the illusion of order.
Exactly. And that's why Alan's approach is so refreshing. He
Okay.
focuses on, clarifying commitments,
Okay.
defining actionable steps,
Right.
and creating a system that supports your thinking
Right.
rather than trying to control it.
It's about creating a framework that allows your mind to work more efficiently,
Yeah,
like a well-oiled machine.
a great way to put it. And by understanding, the nature of work and how our minds work,
Right.
we can develop like habits and systems that
Okay.
enhance our productivity and reduce our stress,
Okay.
allowing us to navigate the complexities of modern life
Right.
with like greater ease and effectiveness.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of the most powerful aspects of GTD, its emphasis on capturing and clarifying commitments.
Okay.
Alan, he argues that a lot of our mental clutter
Okay.
comes from unprocessed stuff.
Right.
Those vague ideas, unfinished tasks, and nagging should-do's that we carry around in our heads.
We talked about this earlier, the stuff problem.
Right.
It's like having a mental junk drawer
Yes.
filled with random items that we haven't sorted through.
Right. And until we take the time to process this stuff,
Yeah.
it continues to drain our mental energy
Right.
and create a sense of overwhelm.
It's like having all those browser tabs open in your mind,
Yeah.
constantly vying for your attention.
A perfect analogy. And that's where, the GTD habit of capturing comes in. The
Right.
idea is to get everything out of your head
Right.
and into a trusted external system.
Okay.
Whether it's a physical in-basket,
Yeah.
a notes app,
Right.
or whatever works for you.
So it's about creating a floating system.
Exactly. By capturing everything that has your attention, you free up mental RAM, right?
Okay.
For more productive thinking. You're no longer trying to remember everything, so you can focus on processing and organizing your commitments.
This makes so much sense. It's like decluttering your mind
Yes.
to make space
Right.
for more creative and strategic thinking.
You've got it. And once you've captured your commitments,
Okay.
the next step is to process them.
Okay.
And this involves asking two key questions.
Okay.
What is it?
Right.
And what's the next action?
Okay, let's break those down.
Okay.
What does Alan mean by what is it?
This is about clarifying, the nature of the commitment.
Oh.
Is it a project,
Okay.
a task,
Right.
a
Yeah.
reference item,
Right.
or something else?
Yeah.
Defining the what
Right.
helps you determine the appropriate next step.
So it's like sorting through that mental junk drawer
Yes,
and labeling each item.
precisely. And then comes the crucial question, what's the next action?
And this is about figuring out
Yes,
the very next physical, visible step you need to take
that's right.
to move the commitment forward.
Exactly. And it needs to be a specific, actionable step,
Okay.
not a vague intention.
So instead of planned vacation,
yes,
it's research flights to Hawaii.
exactly.
Or call travel agent.
You got it. And by defining the next action,
Okay.
you create a clear path
Okay.
for moving forward.
Okay.
You're no longer stuck in the planning phase.
Right.
You're ready to take action.
And this is where the magic of GTD starts to unfold, wouldn't you say?
Wow. Absolutely. By breaking commitments down
Right.
into actionable steps,
Right.
we overcome procrastination and start making real progress.
And that sense of progress
Yeah.
of moving forward
Yeah.
creates like momentum and motivation,
Exactly.
making it easier to stay on track and achieve our goals.
Right.
It's like that feeling of accomplishment you get
Yes.
from crossing something off your to-do list,
Right.
only like multiplied exponentially
Right.
because you're now tackling
Right.
bigger and more complex commitments.
Right. And by consistently capturing, processing, and defining next actions,
Okay.
you create a system that supports your thinking
Right.
and empowers you to take control of your work and life.
Well said. And speaking of control,
Yeah.
Alan also emphasizes the importance of organizing our commitments
Right.
once we've processed them.
Yes.
This is where we create those buckets or lists
Right.
that allow us to manage our actions and projects effectively.
Right. Absolutely. And Alan provides a clear framework
Okay.
for organizing our commitments
Okay.
based on context, time, energy, and priority.
Okay, let's unpack those categories. What does he mean by context?
Context refers to the environment or situation in which you can perform a particular action.
Okay.
For example, you might have a list for calls to make when you're at your phone, errands to run when you're out and about,
Sure.
or at computer for tasks that require internet access.
So it's about grouping actions based on
Yes.
where you can actually do them.
Exactly. By organizing your actions by context,
Right.
you can maximize your efficiency
Right.
and make the most of your time and resources.
That at Aaron's Anywhere list
Yes.
we talked about earlier
Right.
is a great example of a context-based list.
Yes.
It's so helpful to have a list of things you can accomplish no matter where you are.
Right. And Alan also suggests using categories like at home, at office, and at waiting for to further refine your organization.
Okay, so after context, what about time?
Yeah.
How does that factor into...
Well, time refers to
Oh,
the amount of time available to complete a particular action.
okay.
For example, you might have a list for 15-minute tasks
Okay.
for those quick wins
Right,
you can squeeze in between meetings.
right, right.
Or a weekend projects list for things that require larger chunks of time.
This reminds me of the 2-minute rule,
Yes.
where Alan encourages us to do any task that takes less than 2 minutes immediately.
Right.
It's amazing how much we can get done
Yes.
by just taking immediate action.
It is.
Yeah.
And by considering, time as a factor in our organization,
Okay.
we can plan our days and weeks more effectively,
Yeah.
ensuring that we're making progress on both short-term tasks and long-term projects.
Okay, so after context and time, what about energy?
Right.
How does that play a role?
Well, energy refers to your physical and mental state.
Right,
Some tasks require more focus and concentration,
right,
while others can be done when you're feeling, tired
right.
or distracted.
Okay, so it's about matching the task to your energy level.
Precisely.
Like tackling those, brain-intensive projects when you're feeling fresh and alert,
Yeah,
and saving the more mundane tasks for those lower energy moments.
precisely.
Makes sense.
And by being mindful of our energy levels,
Okay,
we can avoid burnout and maintain a sustainable pace throughout the day.
makes sense. Now, finally, what about priority?
Yeah.
How does Alan suggest we factor that into our organization?
Well, priority refers to the relative importance of a task or project
Okay,
in relation to your goals and values.
okay,
Some things are simply more critical to your, overall success and well-being,
right.
and those should naturally take precedence over less important items.
So it's about aligning our actions with our bigger picture,
Yes.
ensuring that we're spending our time and energy
Right.
on the things that truly matter.
Exactly.
Like considering context, time, energy, and priority when organizing our commitments,
Yes.
we create a system that supports our thinking,
Uh-huh.
enhances our productivity,
Yes.
and ultimately allows us to live and work
Right.
more intentionally and effectively.
Well said.
And speaking of living and working intentionally, Alan also introduces some powerful frameworks for thinking about our work at multiple levels,
Yes.
helping us connect our daily actions to our long-term goals
Right.
and even our life purpose.
Yes.
One of these frameworks is the natural planning model, right?
Absolutely. This model provides a structured approach to planning any project, big or small,
Okay.
ensuring that we're considering all the essential elements for success.
Okay, let's break down this natural planning model.
Yeah.
What are the 5 phases Alan outlines?
The 5 phases are purpose, vision, brainstorming, organizing, and next actions.
Okay.
They provide a roadmap for moving from a vague idea
Okay.
to a clear plan of action.
I like how each phase builds on the previous one,
Yes.
creating this natural flow from intention to action.
Right.
So let's start with the first phase, purpose.
Okay.
What's the key question we should ask at this stage?
The fundamental question is, why are we doing this?
Okay.
It's about clarifying, the underlying motivation for the project,
Yeah.
the driving force behind our efforts.
So it's not just about jumping into action,
Right.
but taking a step back
Yeah.
and examining the why behind our intention.
Precisely. And by clearly defining the purpose,
Right.
we gain a sense of direction and motivation,
Okay.
ensuring that our actions are aligned with our values and goals.
That makes sense. It's like setting the compass before embarking on a journey.
Yes.
Okay, so once we've defined the purpose,
Yeah.
what's next?
Vision.
Right.
Yes. Vision is about creating a clear picture of what success looks like.
Okay.
It's about imagining, the desired outcome,
Okay.
the end state we're striving to achieve.
I love this part. It's about allowing ourselves to, dream big
Yes.
and envision the possibilities.
Exactly. And by creating a compelling vision,
Right.
we ignite our imagination and inspire ourselves to take action.
Ugh.
It's like painting a picture of the destination,
Right.
making the journey all the more enticing.
I love the imagery.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our purpose and our vision.
Okay.
Now, what's the next phase?
Brainstorming.
Brainstorming, right?
You got it. This is where we generate ideas and explore possibilities.
Okay.
It's about getting everything out of our heads and onto the table
Right.
without judgment or censorship.
Alan emphasizes the importance of quantity over quality at this stage, right?
Exact. It's about expanding our thinking, not limiting it.
No idea is too wild or crazy at this stage.
Right.
It's about exploring all options and seeing where our imagination takes us.
Yes.
Okay, so after we've brainstormed and generated a pool of ideas,
Yeah.
what's next?
Organizing.
Organizing.
You're right. This is where we start to make sense of the chaos,
Okay.
grouping similar ideas,
Okay.
identifying key themes,
Okay.
and prioritizing our efforts.
It's about bringing order to the creative storm.
Yeah.
Shaping those raw ideas into a coherent plan.
Precisely. And by organizing our thoughts,
Okay.
we gain a clearer understanding of the project's scope and complexity,
Okay.
paving the way for the final phase next actions.
So we've come full circle.
Yes.
We started with purpose,
Uh-huh.
and now we're back to defining those concrete, actionable steps.
Exactly. And by following the natural planning model,
Okay.
we've transformed a vague idea into a clear plan of action with a well-defined purpose,
Okay.
a compelling vision, a pool of creative ideas,
Right.
and a prioritized list of next actions.
Now that's a recipe for success.
Yes.
But Alan doesn't stop at project planning.
Right.
He also provides us with a powerful framework
Yes.
for reviewing our work at different altitudes,
Yeah.
ensuring that our daily actions are aligned with our long-term goals
Right.
and even our life purpose.
Yes. You're referring to the 6-level model for reviewing your work,
Yes.
which is, a brilliant tool
Okay.
for gaining perspective and ensuring that we're not just busy,
Okay.
but productive and fulfilled.
This model has really changed my perspective on work.
Oh, wow.
I used to get so caught up in the day-to-day that I lost sight of the bigger picture.
Right.
This model helped me connect the dots
Okay.
and prioritize my efforts based on what truly matters.
It's a powerful tool
Yeah,
for aligning our actions with our values and goals.
okay. So shall we delve into 6 levels of this model?
Absolutely. Let's start at the ground level,
Okay.
the runway, so to speak.
Yeah.
What's the focus at this level?
The runway level is all about current actions.
Okay.
The tasks and activities
Okay.
that are right in front of you,
Right.
demanding your immediate attention.
So this is where those context-based action lists come in handy.
Yes.
The calls, errors, and @computer lists that help us maximize our efficiency. Right.
And stay focused on what needs to be done right now.
The runway level is all about execution and getting things done.
It's about clearing the decks
Yeah.
and creating space for more strategic thinking.
Precisely. Now moving up a level, we have the 10,000-foot view.
Okay.
What's the focus at this level?
This is where we zoom out a bit and consider our current projects, right? Exactly all those open loops,
Yeah.
those multi-step endeavors
Yeah.
that are in progress but not yet complete.
The 10,000-foot level is about maintaining a clear overview of our commitments,
Heck.
ensuring that we're making progress on all fronts.
So it's about having a bird's eye view of our projects,
Right.
seeing how they fit together,
Uh-huh.
and identifying any potential roadblocks.
Right. And it's also about ensuring that our projects are aligned with our overall goals and priorities.
Makes sense. Now, moving up another level, we have the 20,000-foot view.
Okay.
What's the focus at this altitude?
The 20,000-foot level is about considering our areas of responsibility.
Okay.
This is where we define the roles we play in
Okay.
our work and life, the hats we wear,
Right.
and the standards we're committed to upholding.
So this is where we step back
Yeah.
and consider our overall job description,
Uh-huh.
our family responsibilities,
Yeah.
our community involvement,
Right.
and all the other areas where we've made commitments.
And by clarifying our areas of responsibility,
Right.
we gain a deeper understanding
Right.
of what's expected of us and what we're ultimately accountable for.
It's about seeing the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the forest, rather than the individual trees.
Precisely. Now, moving up to the 30,000-foot level,
Okay.
things start to get even more strategic.
Okay.
What's the focus at this altitude?
The 30,000-foot level is about considering our one-year goals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
What do we want to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Uh-huh.
What milestones do we want to reach?
It's about setting our sights on the horizon,
Okay.
envisioning what we want to achieve in the near future.
It's about setting those short-term targets
Yeah.
that keep us motivated and moving in the right direction.
Right. And it's also about ensuring that our one-year goals are aligned with our long-term vision.
Right.
Which brings us to the 40,000-foot level.
Okay, so at this altitude,
Yeah.
We're looking even further ahead, right?
Yes.
We're considering our 3 to 5 year vision
Uh-huh.
for, our career, our finances, our relationship,
Right.
all the other areas of our
You
lives.
got it. The 40,000-foot level is about long-term planning and strategic thinking.
It's about creating like a roadmap for the future,
Yes.
envisioning the possibilities,
Uh-huh.
and setting those audacious goals
Yeah.
that inspire us to, like, reach for our full potential.
Beautifully said. And finally, we reach the highest altitude, the 50,000-foot level.
Okay.
What's the focus at this level?
This is where things get really existential, right?
Yes.
We're considering our life purpose, our core values, our legacy,
Yeah.
the big why. That gives meaning and direction to everything we do.
You've captured it perfectly. The 50,000-foot level is about aligning our actions with our deepest values and aspirations,
Okay.
ensuring that we're living a life that is both fulfilling and impactful.
It's about connecting our daily efforts to something larger than ourselves,
Yeah.
creating a sense of purpose that transcends the mundane.
Well said. And by regularly revisiting these 6 levels of thinking,
Right.
from the runway to the 50,000-foot view,
Right.
we gain like a profound sense of clarity, focus, and direction, ensuring that we're not just busy,
Right.
but productive, fulfilled,
Okay.
and ultimately living a life that is true to our values and goals.
That's a powerful framework for thinking about work and life.
Yes.
But I'm curious, how does this apply in a team setting?
Okay.
A lot of our listeners work in collaborative environments.
That's a great point. One of the key principles of GTD is shared context.
Okay.
So by ensuring that everyone on the team has like a clear understanding of the project's purpose, goals, and next actions,
Right.
we create a shared sense of responsibility and accountability.
So it's about creating transparency and alignment across the team.
Exactly.
Making sure everyone's rowing in the same direction.
Exactly. And this requires, clear communication, regular check-ins,
Right.
and a shared system for capturing, processing, and organizing commitments.
In my experience, having a shared project board
Okay.
where everyone can see the project's progress,
Yeah.
the next actions,
Right.
and who's responsible for what
Yeah.
has been really helpful.
That's a great example of applying GTD principles
Yeah.
in a team setting. And by creating the shared context,
Right.
we eliminate confusion,
Right.
reduce duplication of effort,
Right.
and empower team members to take ownership of their contributions.
It's like having a shared mental map,
Yes.
guiding everyone towards the same destination.
Precisely another key aspect of applying GTD in teams
Okay.
is to establish clear decision-making processes.
Okay.
By defining, who has the authority to make what decisions,
Right.
we avoid bottlenecks and ensure that projects move forward smoothly.
So this is where having a clear understanding
Yeah.
of roles and responsibilities within the team
Right.
becomes crucial, right?
Absolutely. And by establishing clear decision-making protocols,
Right.
we empower team members to take initiative,
Right.
make informed choices,
Right.
and contribute their expertise without fear of, overstepping boundaries.
It creates a culture of trust and empowerment.
Yes.
Where everyone feels confident in their role and contributions.
Well said. And by embracing these principles of shared context,
Right.
clear communication,
Right.
and effective decision-making,
Yeah.
teams can achieve remarkable levels of productivity, innovation, and collaboration,
Okay.
transforming their work from a source of stress into a source of fulfillment and shared accomplishment.
Okay. That's inspiring. But even with a great team and a solid system,
Yeah.
sometimes we just get stuck in a rut.
Right.
We lack motivation, we procrastinate, or we just feel overwhelmed for the sheer volume of tasks.
Yeah.
How does Alan suggest we overcome those moments of inertia
Yeah.
and get ourselves moving again?
That's a common challenge, and Alan acknowledges that motivation isn't something we can always summon on demand.
Right.
It's often fickle and elusive.
Yeah.
So instead of relying solely on willpower,
Right.
he offers some practical strategies for getting unstuck.
All right, give me the good stuff.
Okay.
How do we break free from those patterns of procrastination and inertia?
One of the most powerful strategies is to simply start.
Okay.
Often the hardest part of any task
There-
is taking that initial step.
He's talking about overcoming inertia, right?
Exactly.
That feeling of being stuck in neutral.
Exactly. And by simply starting, even if it's just for 5 minutes,
Okay.
we often find that our motivation kicks in and we gain momentum.
It's like pushing that heavy boulder down the hill.
Right.
Once it starts rolling, it gains momentum.
Yeah.
It becomes easier to move.
A perfect analogy, and if starting small doesn't quite do the trick,
Okay?
Alan also suggests breaking down large, overwhelming tasks
Okay.
into smaller, more manageable steps.
So it's about making those daunting projects feel less intimidating?
Exactly. By focusing on one small step at a time,
Okay.
we make the task feel more achievable.
Right.
reducing the feeling of overwhelm and increasing our motivation to move forward.
Okay, that makes sense. But sometimes even small steps feel too big
Yeah.
when I'm just not feeling it. What about those times when I'm just dreading a task?
In those cases, Alan recommends shifting your focus to the positive outcomes of completing the task.
Okay.
So instead of dwelling on the drudgery, visualize the benefits of getting it done.
So if I'm dreading cleaning out my inbox,
Yeah,
I should focus on the feeling of relief
yeah,
and clarity I'll have when it's finally done,
exactly. And by focusing on the rewards, we create a sense of anticipation and motivation,
right?
making the task feel more appealing and less daunting.
It's like reminding ourselves why we're
Yeah,
doing this in the first place,
right.
connecting those daily actions to our larger goals and aspirations.
Well said. And finally, Alan suggests rewarding ourselves for progress.
Ah, the power of a little
It's
self-bribery.
not about bribery,
I'm all for that.
but about acknowledging our efforts and celebrating our accomplishments.
Right,
It reinforces those positive behaviors
right.
and creates a sense of momentum.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
It's like those little treats we give ourselves along the way,
Yeah.
those moments of satisfaction that make the journey more enjoyable.
Exactly. And by clarifying our goals,
Right.
breaking down tasks,
Okay.
focusing on the positive, and rewarding ourselves for progress,
Yeah.
we can overcome those moments of inertia, transform procrastination into productivity,
Okay.
and create, a more fulfilling and successful approach to our work.
Now that's a vision worth striving for.
Yes.
But let's be honest.
Right.
Even with the best intentions,
Yeah.
sometimes we just get sidetracked.
Right.
Unexpected events, emergencies, or simply the lower distractions can derail our best laid plans.
Right.
How does Alan suggest we maintain our focus
Yeah.
and stay on track even when those inevitable interruptions arise?
That's a great question, and Alan acknowledges that
Right.
distractions are an inevitable part of life.
Right.
But he also emphasizes that we have the power to choose
Right.
how we respond to those distractions
Okay.
and to cultivate habits
Okay.
that support focus and concentration.
So it's about becoming the master of our attention
Yes.
rather than the slave of our distractions.
Exactly. And one of the key strategies Alan suggests
Okay.
is to simply become aware of those distractions.
Okay.
What are the things
Right.
that tend to pull us off track? Is it social media, email, the news, or something else entirely?
It's like identifying the enemy, right?
Yes.
Once we know what we're up against,
Yeah.
we can start to develop strategies for minimizing their impact.
Precisely, this might involve, turning off notifications, scheduling specific times for checking email and social media,
Okay.
or creating like a distraction-free work environment.
We talked earlier about the importance of having a dedicated workspace.
Oh, yeah.
But even if we don't have a separate office,
Yeah.
we can still create like a mental space
Yes.
that's conducive to focus, right?
Absolutely. This might involve using, noise-canceling headphones,
Okay.
listening to like calming music,
Thanks, too.
or simply practicing mindfulness techniques
Right.
to bring our attention back to the present moment.
It's about creating those mental boundaries.
Yes.
Those invisible fences that keep distractions at bay.
Well said. And in addition to minimizing distractions,
Yeah.
Alan also suggests setting clear intentions
Right.
before beginning any tasks.
So it's about knowing what we're setting out to accomplish
Yes,
before we dive in, having a clear goal in mind.
exactly. And by defining the desired outcome,
Okay.
we create like a roadmap for our efforts,
Oh,
making it easier to stay on track and avoid getting sidetracked by distractions.
It's like having a compass that guides us toward our destination.
Precisely. And Alan also suggests
Okay?
using techniques that support like concentration and flow.
So it's about finding strategies that help us to get in the zone.
Exactly.
That state of deep focus and absorption where we're most productive and creative.
Exactly. And this might involve using the Pomodoro technique,
Okay?
practicing mindfulness, or even, engaging in a brief physical activity
Yeah.
to clear our minds and sharpen our focus.
I've found that the Pomodoro technique has been a game changer for me.
Oh, wow.
Those focused bursts of work
Yeah.
followed by like work breaks
Right.
have really helped me to maintain like a sustainable pace and prevent burnout.
That's great. And by experimenting with different techniques,
Right.
we can find what works best for us and develop a personalized approach to enhancing focus and concentration.
It's about becoming the master of our attention
Yes.
rather than the slave of our distraction.
Precisely. And by creating a distraction-free environment,
Okay.
setting clear intentions,
Okay.
and using techniques that support concentration and flow,
Okay.
we can transform our work from a source of stress and distraction into a source of flow, creativity, and deep satisfaction.
It's interesting. We've talked a lot about external distractions.
Right.
But I think sometimes the biggest obstacles to focus are internal.
Right.
Our own thoughts, worries, and anxieties
Yeah.
can really derail our efforts. How does Alan address those internal distractions?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Alan emphasizes the importance of understanding how our minds work
Okay.
and developing strategies for managing those internal distractions.
Right.
He suggests practices like mindfulness and meditation,
Okay.
which can help us to become more aware of our thoughts and emotions
Right.
and to develop a more detached and observant relationship to them.
So it's about recognizing that our thoughts aren't necessarily facts,
Exactly.
but rather just mental events
Yes.
that come and go.
Exactly. And by learning to observe our thoughts
Okay.
without judgment or attachment,
Okay.
we can create a sense of space and clarity,
Right.
allowing us to choose which thoughts to engage with
Right.
and which to simply let pass.
It's like becoming the observer of our own mental chatter
Well said.
rather than getting swept away by it.
And in addition to mindfulness and meditation,
Okay.
Alan also suggests techniques like journaling and visualization,
Okay.
which can help us to, process our emotions,
Okay.
clarify our thoughts,
Right.
and create a more positive and supportive inner dialogue.
I've found that journaling is a great way to release those pent-up thoughts and emotions
Yeah,
that can sometimes cloud my mind. It's like having a mental decluttering session.
exactly. And by creating a regular practice
Right?
of self-reflection and introspection,
Okay.
we can cultivate a greater sense of self-awareness and emotional regulation,
Right.
which can have a profound impact on our ability to focus and be productive.
So it's not just about managing external distractions,
Yeah,
but also about cultivating a calm and focused mind.
precisely. And by combining those external strategies
Right.
with internal practices,
Right.
we create a powerful synergy
Okay.
that supports our ability to concentrate,
Right.
be present, and do our best work.
We've talked a lot about productivity and getting things done.
Right.
But I think it's important to remember that GTD
Yeah.
is not just about checking things off our to-do lists.
Mm.
It's about creating a life that is both productive and fulfilling.
I completely agree. At its core, GTD is about creating a system that supports our values and goals,
Okay.
allowing us to live and work in a way that is aligned with our deepest aspirations.
Right.
It's about freeing our minds
Right.
from the tyranny of the to-do list,
Right.
and creating space for, creativity, joy, and a sense of purpose.
And that brings us back to the concept of mind like water.
Yes.
It's not just about being calm and efficient.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being adaptable, resilient,
Right.
and present
Yeah.
in the face of whatever life throws our way.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a mindset
Right.
that allows us to navigate the complexities of life
Right.
with grace, ease, and a sense of inner peace.
Okay, I'm sold. But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't starting from scratch.
Right.
We already have systems and habits in place.
Uh-huh.
What's the best way to start incorporating GTD principles into our lives?
That's a great question. I think the key is to start small and experiment.
Okay.
Choose one area of your life that you'd like to improve
Okay.
and start applying the GTD principles there.
So if I'm feeling overwhelmed by my work projects,
Yeah.
I might start by implementing the 5 stages of workflow mastery
Exactly.
for managing my work tasks.
Exact. Or if you're feeling stressed about your personal commitments,
Right.
you could try using the natural planning model
Okay.
to create a more structured approach to planning and organizing your personal life.
It's about finding what resonates with you.
Right.
And what fits your individual needs and style.
Absolutely. And remember, GTD is not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It's a framework,
Okay.
a set of principles that you can adapt and customize
Right.
to create a system that supports your unique way of working and living.
So it's not about becoming a GTD robot,
Right.
but about using these tools to create a more mindful,
Yeah.
intentional,
Uh-huh.
and fulfilling life.
Precisely. It's about creating a system that serves you
Right.
rather than the other way around.
It's about taking control of our lives and our work rather than letting them control us.
Well said. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There will be times when, you fall off the wagon,
Right.
when your system breaks down, or when life throws you a curveball.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Right.
The key is to be kind to yourself, to learn from those experiences and to keep coming back to the principles that work for you.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do it all alone.
Right.
There are, countless resources available from books and articles to online communities and coaches that can support you on your GTD journey.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But I think that the key takeaway is that GTD is more than just a productivity system.
I agree.
It's a philosophy,
Yes.
a way of thinking about work and life
Yeah.
that can empower us to be more focused, intentional, and fulfilled.
I couldn't agree more. It's about creating a life where we're not just getting things done,
Right.
but living a life that is, meaningful, purposeful, and ultimately joyful.
And that, my friend, is the essence of getting things done.
Yes.
It's about creating a life that works for you, not the other way around.
Well said.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into GTD,
Okay.
here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay.
What's one small step you can take today to bring a little more mind like water into your life? Maybe it's capturing those swirling thoughts in a notebook,
Yeah.
tackling a 2-minute task, or simply taking 5 minutes to breathe and reconnect with yourself.
Start small experiment, be kind to yourself, and watch as the ripples of change begin to spread through your life.
Until next time, may your mind be clear,
Yes.
your actions be focused,
Uh-huh.
and your journey be filled with joy.
Uh-huh.